Yeah, that's what I find fascinating is that you have this capacity to be non-threatened by people who are different than you are, and I do think that that's a unique characteristic that I just do. That not everybody's like that, and I think that that's admirable.
I was open to that stuff from Glenn and Jane because I was their friend. You know what I mean? I was becoming their friend. But like if some random person who I didn't know or like would just try to pitch me, I think I would be like anybody else and would be like, why are you talking to me about this? Like, I don't even know you. When I was a teenager, there was a period of my life where it was the most interesting thing to me was I was thinking a lot about religion, and I was thinking a lot about my relationship to it, and like I came to.
This is before your conversion to atheism, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Like all in that same period. Like I heard Jesus Christ Superstar for the first time, and then that made me read the New Testament. We'd put on Godspell at my junior high, and I was in it, and you know what I mean. Like I had like a lot of like, you know, there was like a Christian girl who I used to make out with, who was just like, it was very like Baptist girl, and I went with her to her youth group, and like, you know, it just. You know, if you're a Jew growing up around Christians, like that's, you know, you at some point you realize like, what's the deal with these people? And it was really, really interesting to me because it seems so the whole story of Christianity is just so theatrical. The Old Testament is such a drag compared to the New Testament just for story. But the other thing with Jane and Glenn was that not only was I open to them pitching me, but there's a small part of me where I thought, I know that they believe in God. But if I lay out my reasons, I can totally convince them. Like I totally thought like, all right, you want to have at it? Let's have at it. Because I've got some material here and I'm going to bring it. And I'm totally going to flip them. I was just like, you know what I mean? Like, and so I think that there's like, you know, I feel like I would be underplaying the amount of arrogance and pride I felt too.
Right.
Of just
Did you get to pitch your thing? Did you represent yourself?
I don't remember doing that, but I'm sure I did, because that's the kind of ass I am. Yes, I'm sure I gave like my arguments to them, and I'm sure they swatted them down like anybody could. Yes. I mean, truthfully, like they're on the other side of a divide. Like to them, like I remember Jane just saying this thing. I was like, oh, where she's like, because they have like a daily, ongoing conversation with God,
yes,
right? Like
of course.
they're in touch with God in a really intimate way, and it's like I didn't understand it. Finally, Jane said, like, listen to me, okay? Tomorrow I'm going to court. It's just traffic court, but it makes me a little nervous. You know, you go before a judge, and she's like, I don't know, it makes me a little nervous. But then she says, I think to myself, all right, the judge works for the judge works for the mayor. That isn't really true, but that's right. The judge works for the mayor works for the governor works for the president, and then above them all is God.
Right.
Well, I'm in with the top guy, so I'm set. Like I don't have to worry about the judge, because I'm in daily contact with this guy, so I'm set. And I was like, oh right, that's how you see it, and so there's nothing I could possibly have said that could have convinced them. In the same way that I think that there's nothing.
And you think what you really think is they're making all this up. This is just a fantasy in their mind to get through reality, get through their life.
When you say it that way, it sounds
but
so mean.
I know it sounds mean,
like
but ultimately, as an atheist, you.
Yes,
I mean,
I think.
It's just we're making these things up. I mean, some construct to.
Yes, I think it's a reassuring story that they tell themselves, that you tell yourself.
And that's the story that the kids in the prison started telling themselves.
Yes.
And it helped them change.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that was at least even the construct, the artificial construct, had power in and of itself, even if there was nothing real about it.
Christianity is number one for a reason. That is a great story, and it's a reassuring story. The way that Jane and Glenn used to tell...
What's the story?
Well, the way they used to tell it to the kids in the prison was totally adapted to a prison setting and to gang kids. So they said, all right, you know when you get into a gang, they jump you in, they jump you out. Meaning, like to join a gang, they all beat you up, right? And then if you want to leave the gang, they all beat you up. He's like, all right, well, it's the same with God. You know how in a gang somebody calls the shots? Well, with God, it's the same thing. God calls the shots. And he says, so to get in with God, somebody's got to get jumped in. And they're like, you know what? Jesus got jumped in for you.
Right.
Jesus got on the cross. He got jumped in for you. Right. He took the pain. So now you're just in.
That's right.
Which the logic of that is so clean. You know what I mean?
We're true. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So no. So from my point of view, no. It's just a made-up story.
Gotcha.
But you'd have to be kind of an ass to look down on somebody like the stories that I tell myself to get through the day.
Can't compete.
Well, no, I'm saying like they're just as unlikely. You know, like the thing that's going, you know, the stuff that's
got
going
you.
through my head
Right.
to like convince myself like, right, this is how I should live my life today.
Right.
So
Yeah, so there's a lot of uncertainty and not knowing going on for all of us.